Ah!
That's what he actually looks like in person, Dexter. I think Bob may be a robot. That sounded kind of like a robot. You want to count this in, Jimmy? Doesn't he look a little green tonight?
Good evening, weirdos, and welcome to another edition of LIVIN CRUDDY. I'm your host, the handsomest Jimmy, joined as always by everyone's hero, Flippy Gino Royd, the chameleon Vinny, and our special guest tonight, Mr. Bob McCredie. Welcome, Bob. How's things in Wisconsin?
All right, Bob showed up.
Glad to be here.
When we were talking to Paul last week, Paul was like, yeah, you guys really need to talk to Bob. By popular demand, we had to get a hold of Bob and find out what's going on.
Oh, good evening, everybody. I just got the news about Marilyn Eastman.
Right.
That definitely sucks.
It does. I was lucky enough to be at like one of those conventions that had like all the remaining participants of Night of the Living Dead. So I got to meet a bunch of them. It was pretty cool.
So you know Vinny and you know Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see Jimmy all the time, every week.
I'm sorry.
Well, so when was the last time you saw Jimmy's mom?
No, hey, my mom's got Mom got diagnosed with COVID this week.
Oh, man. What is it with you guys, man? You just can't stay away from the COVID.
Yeah, and it's weird. I did get sick last week, and I went in and tested negative. It was just a summer cold. Apparently, there's a summer cold going around in my area with COVID.
Yeah, there's one here. Stay home for another day.
You gotta do the ivermectin, man.
I haven't had a flu in 18 years.
Yeah, well, before we do that, Bob, where are you right now? What city and state are you in?
Right outside of Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Just outside of it.
My wife went to college in Madison, and I have an aunt and uncle that lived in Kenosha.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At a lake house in Kenosha. They lived in Chicago, and they went to the lake house in Kenosha.
You're looking a little green.
Yeah.
People demanded it.
So remind us how you found the freak out. How did you stumble across all that?
Freak Out, I discovered the band first a while ago and then joined like the Facebook page. And after a while, I started seeing the notices coming up on the band page about the Freak Out. You know, it took me a little while before I did it. That's pretty much how. I remember one night just looking at it and like, yeah, I don't know what they're watching, but I'm going to jump in, you know?
Well, that's awesome.
I don't know how long ago that was.
If we could continue to get people to come in organically like that, that would be cool. I mean, you've been pretty steady since the first time you came in.
From what I gather, you used to do something like before COVID. You used to do something like this, like in person, right?
Yeah, we had like the Nashville Horror Nerd Movie Club thing where we would do like a movie and then we would play after the movie. That was a pretty hard deal to set up. We had a couple venues that would let us do it, but then it always ended up being the same two venues, and that was Pond and
the Borough.
The Borough, yeah. And the Borough kind of some stuff got broken and we got blamed or something. So the Borough was out of the picture. So it was just the Pond after that. And then what happened was Joe's situation where, he wasn't really able to leave the house. He asked if he could show, watch parties on Facebook. So we started with that. And then the two things kind of merged. And Joe was doing a little bit before. His mission was to show terrible movies. Not like if he had his druthers, he would definitely show stuff to piss people off.
It would be like all Al Adamson or something? Or
Oh, no, not Al Adamson would be on the good side of art compared to what the shit he wanted to show.
Oh,
Look at Andy Milligan.
He was so mad that one night that we had Andy Milligan, I don't even know what the movie was, and we were like, turn it off. So we changed it, and he was like, oh, fuck you guys.
Quite honestly, I've seen about 8 gazillion horror films over the years, but Andy Milligan has always been one that's escaped. I bought that box came out.
You're welcome to it.
I hope I like it. There's a lot
Oh, man. There's ever a box set that didn't need to be a box set. Or it just goes in a very special box, the one that goes out by the road.
Self-torture.
Well, yeah, eventually I'll get around to that. I guess I'll give you the full report. From what I understand, do you love it or you hate
Well,
it?
it's just lots of exposition dialogue through the entire movie, and then flash of action, and then right back to hours of dialogue with only one microphone, and you can't hardly hear anything. And
were you either of you there last night for the Velvet Vampire?
I was asleep.
You were asleep?
Yes, Velvet Vampire and Savage Streets. Yeah, I was there for both.
Yeah, okay. So what did you think of that?
I kind of liked it. It was bad.
I had never seen it, and then I saw that it was available. So I'm like, okay, we'll do this as a first feature because I knew that was something people were talking about. It's definitely a weird movie. I swear they were at Spawn Ranch at one point, and that where the girl gets bit by the rattlesnake. That was some weird stuff. And that ending where they end up in the Greyhound station was like, that was kind of weird and surreal. Vampire movies don't usually go there.
I know I've seen the title Velvet Vampire floating around. It's one of those that pops up, but I never took the plunge.
Yeah, I would see it in the Michael Michael Weldon's Psychotronic book.
Yeah.
Never got a hold of it.
It was weird. I mean, the ending was a little bit strange, and I mean, the movie was slow, but it had a story enough to keep you kind of sucked in. So
I like that guy from Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
You know?
The late 60s, early 70s was filled with dudes that looked like that guy. I mean, Hammer had about 17 different guys that they wheeled out, like the young blonde guy with the weird eyeballs.
And they were always named either Paul or Carl. I've noticed like there's a Paul in every Hammer.
Well, it is English.
But see, I'm surprised that Bob, you've never seen Velvet Vampires and done the music for it, right?
They just told me what it was going to be. That's why it sucks and it doesn't fit.
Bob actually invented MIDI. It made it for that movie. So the other movie, the Linda Blair movie, I'm certain you guys have all seen that.
Not in a long time, yeah.
I could tell everybody had seen it and everybody had more stakes in it as well. I saw it probably when it came out, but I didn't remember much about it. And I was surprised at how much straight up nudity and wild shit was in that movie. They can't make movies like that now. I mean, they can't have 15-minute nude shower scene fights with totally naked women.
It's just like laying naked in the tub for like a minute or two. I mean, for really no reason. I understand she's supposed to be like traumatized, but still, it's just kind of there for you to gawk at. It really is.
The ending with the showdown between her and the bad guy it built up to that. She's definitely dominating this dude, and then all of a sudden the tables turn. You're like, wait a second, is she just totally wimp out? What's going on here? And I'm not a big fan of the ending of that, but everything up to that point I thought was good quality 80s stuff.
So this would explain why when I saw it on network TV in the 80s, why it was only an hour long. Right?
I caught that on HBO at like 4 a.m. Like I woke up and just turned it on. I probably was like 10, But
that would have been something for a 10-year-old to watch.
He's like, whoa.
They should have renamed that movie Streets of Muff.
And that's the dude who did Friday the 13th 5.
Gino, did you say Streets of Muff?
Yes.
It's a new Crudds title.
I'm assuming Jimmy hasn't seen this movie.
Oh, God, no.
Well, if we ever practice again, we'll put that on for you.
Yes.
Everybody gets their shots. We play music, or when this round dies down.
Have you been able to practice at all? Like within the last
together?
Oh hell, I got a new guitar. I've been playing.
Oh.
Jimmy doesn't want to stop catching the COVID, so we can't play.
What do you mean? I'm ready. I'm vaxxed. I'm ready to go.
So is there potentially a new album in the future once all this crap kind of dies down?
In my mind, there is definitely an album. There's an album's worth of music. It's just taking that and turning it into recording ready music. That's a chore, man. I mean, it used to be like, you would easily be satisfied with what you came up with and play it 5 minutes. But let's record that shit. Now it just seems like, it's never quite exactly how you want it to be. You start recording it and you're like, that sounds a little weird. Let's wait. No, I don't know what Jimmy's take on recording is. What do you think?
I think we're ready. I think we just need to rehearse those songs. We got plenty of material. We just got to get it down again.
Well, there is the challenge of, since right at the exact same time that COVID kicked in and we stopped playing, that our singer left, Jimmy took over, which you see on the Living CRUDDY videos. That's switching vocalists is like, that's a chore. You don't know what you're going to deal with. So he's got the biggest slice of work of anybody. I mean, for the rest of us, just getting back in there and playing. For Jimmy, it's like twice the work.
And I did a fantastic job with Living CRUDDY.
I think Jimmy's approach is going to be like, I think I could do it. I'll just wait.
No, believe me, I've run through a lot of this stuff.
So you've been doing vocals and playing and the whole thing. All right. Doing vocals on songs that don't even have vocals.
That's right.
Lord knows I can't remember half the shit. And when I hear those,
I know words. Let's not mince words here.
Just know how to grunt through them. I would say probably at least a third of those tunes that we think are done will need new vocal content. Because they were like placeholders and shit. If you want to record shit, you want to perfect that stuff. So Bob, what do you do other than attend the film freakout?
I don't know. I'm pretty much a 9-to-5 worker. Work at a pharmaceutical company, which sounds classy.
Yeah.
But make blood thinner. It sounds very, science-y, but it's really just kind of stinky and disgusting. Because
did you say blood thinner?
Yeah, because it's
okay. You make heparin. Can I get some?
It's made from pig intestines, so it's
don't tell me that.
Pretty nasty job.
So what can you tell us about heparin that we don't know?
Well, I guess the first thing is it was made from pig intestines, but you can also make it out of plants and cow lungs.
Why not?
I've heard of people injecting heparin into their legs before they fly. Is that something that they do? Or
I never even heard that.
To avoid blood clots or something like that at elevated.
Oh man, that could be dangerous. movies.
I'll try it.
Yeah, if you don't know,
I mean, I just
right,
did it before we sat down, but
yeah, you'd have to really know your dosage well to do something like that.
Jeez.
Taking it or anything like that. But
Let me ask you this, Bob. What was your earliest memory getting into horror? I mean, what was the point? This is it. This is what I love. This is what I'm gonna watch all the time.
the very, very first, I was pretty damn young. I must have been way too young to be watching it. Again, HBO were one of the few families on the block that had it, you know, and I was watching it one morning. It was like the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes of Amityville 2. I didn't quite understand what was going on, except for one guy was acting real crazy. But there was one point there where his voice is changing. He looks all fucked up, and then he actually like reaches up and tears his face off, and there's like a demon underneath. Yeah, I mean, as a kid, that was pretty incredible. You look at it now, it's kind of an okay stop motion sort of trick they do. I mean, it doesn't have the impact on me now that it did when I was a kid, but it was when I saw that was kind of freaked me out. But a few years down the road is when I saw Night of the Living Dead that that was the movie that made me remember the names in the credits, like paying attention to who did this, you know, that was the one that did it. So that's why I say there's two. It's like Amityville really caught my attention. Night of the Living Dead, I guess, just kind of solidified it.
when you first saw Night of the Living Dead, what year was that and how did you see it?
I was about 8 or 9. Our local grocery store had the VHS rentals. I saw the box and I was captivated by the box, and I pointed it out to my mother. And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to watch that? It's about dead people coming back to life and eating people." Oh, really? So I made her rent it for me. So we rented it from the local grocery store, and I just took it home and watched it. You know, I was amazed by that movie. And to this day, it's my favorite movie of all time.
You know, if you're gonna start, that's a great place to start.
And as a kid, I loved the horror stuff so much. I didn't give a shit if it was black and white. I didn't care if it was from the 30s or the 60s or the 80s. You know, I just loved all of it. It's weird, you know, and then years later, I was working at Blockbuster Video, if you remember that. And it's weird. I never thought of people would want suggestions, and I would suggest like Psycho, and they'd be like, "But isn't that black and white?" Yeah, I never thought of people would be turned off by that.
There's a lot of people who won't go there. There's like, oh, black and white, can't do it.
Shame, man.
Doesn't faze me one bit.
The first time I saw Night of the Living Dead, MTV showed it on Halloween night in 1982. It was 11 o'clock, so I had to go to bed, go to school the next day, but my dad taped it, and I woke up an hour early the next day just to watch it, and got home early just to watch it. Amazing, I just got the Criterion a couple years ago. Robert Rodriguez said that's how he saw it. And it was strange because it was MTV would only show a movie that had music in it. It's the first time they showed a movie, no music. It was uninterrupted and uncut in a perfect print as well.
I remember when they did that. First time I saw Night of the Living Dead, and it was only rumors that movie even really existed. I mean, this was like pre-video rental, I got like monster books, show you some photos, but friends that I knew in school, and this would have been like the last year of junior high school, they were like, "Oh, that's the movie where the zombies, they tear people open and eat their guts." And I'm like, well, I gotta fucking see this. And you would keep hearing about it, and like there was no chance you were gonna get to see this.
Right.
So here I am scouring TV Guide every week. This is a routine. Look for the creature features, look for the channels that randomly would cut in horror movies at night. And on like a Wednesday night on Channel 51, which is the Fort Lauderdale channel, I was in Palm Beach, which was 30, 40 miles away from that. They were running Night of the Living Dead. I'm like, holy shit. And it ran from like 1 a.m. till 3:30 with a lot of commercials in the middle. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm setting my alarm and getting up to watch this, not having any idea what to expect. I didn't even know it was about the farmhouse. None of that shit. I mean, it was like only knew that there was some guts getting eaten in this movie. There were zombies and gut eating. It comes on and I'm watching it, and this channel 51 would show anything. They would cut away from the movie and then they would show go-go dancers like live from some titty bar. And I remember doing my damnedest to stay awake to see this whole damn thing. And I stayed up till 3:34 in the morning and to go to school, junior high school. The next day, my parents had no idea I was still up. But that movie fucking blew my mind. And I was scared shitless of it afterwards. I never saw anything like that.
I watched it every day for like 3 months because I had it on VHS. And yeah, I just glued to it. I think I bought the soundtrack, like the original soundtrack, and then the double that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I must have owned it on VHS and DVD so many times. Yeah, strictly one of the best. Then also 9 years old, and every older teenagers in the neighborhood, they were able to go to the drive and see Dawn of the Dead, and they're talking about that. And we were too young to see that, so I had to wait to get that on VHS. And when I finally did, I was the shit in the neighborhood because every kid would come over to watch Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead. So a lot of parents didn't like their kids hanging out with me. Movies.
Second one I saw was actually Day, and then Dawn. long. And to me, that was like Holy Trinity. You know, a lot of people, it was, you know, Star Wars was their trilogy. And for me, it was those. And that was a time when zombies are, you know, in television commercials and cartoons now. But at the time, it was still considered something a weird person was watching. Yeah. You know, so it's like I wanted to show all my friends, and you know, like, oh yeah, he's that guy who watches the zombie.
Yeah, those were hard to come by.
Yeah, no, there was a time when that was not like mainstream at all. Now it's like the most mainstream horror thing that exists.
The zombie fighting the shark from Zombie was in a Best Buy commercial just like 10 years ago. So
I know, I remember that.
Where does Night of the Living Dead fall on your list, Vinny?
Number 2. Oh no, sorry, 3.
Number 3. What's 1 and 2 again? Sorry.
1 is Halloween, and number 2, children shouldn't play with dead things.
Really, number 2 is children. Oh.
Well, that's a 20-minute story right there. The only film that scared the shit out of me for 3 months. I couldn't sleep. Well, remember, my list is all about the emotional impact of each movie. How many times I've watched it, where it falls in my life growing up. If my dad took me to see it, so-and-so. Not like what I consider the best horror movies of all time. You know, because that top 10 would be a lot different. It's just these movies I love. And with my list, number 400 is just as beloved as number 1. So,
well, the children loses a couple points with me because it takes a while to get going. That's if they had paced it a little differently, it could be right in there with the. I would think that it probably would be right in there with a lot of people's books, but it loses people that first hour.
It takes place in the woods at night. I fucking hate the woods at night. It scares the shit out of me. And the music it's full of these strange tones, and they're very ghostly. And then when the zombies come out, the noises they make, they sound like their souls are eternally damned, and they're in such pain. It freaked me out. I mean, where I lived, we had this patch of woods, and I could just see these fuckers coming out from the street light. And I couldn't sleep. There's no goddamn way I could sleep for 3 months. Freaked me out. The only movie that scared me.
Say when the zombies do show up, it really, you know.
Oh, it's effective. Yeah. If they would have moved that up by 15 minutes.
But the dialogue is full of all this craziness, so I get it. I can enjoy it. You know.
Oh no, I love the movie. It's just not as well paced as Night of the Living Dead.
Oh no, not at all. No,
I would have to say Night of the Living Dead is probably the best, the most effective to me of all those movies. Yeah. Probably the best. If anybody had to say what is your best top horror movie, it would probably be Night of the Living Dead, and that lives right in there with Dawn of the Dead, and Evil Dead, and Texas Chainsaw, and all that. I mean, it's just that little grouping. Halloween, you know.
Because where would we be without Night of the Living Dead? Yeah. You know, this whole zombie subgenre owes it to this. There was nothing like it before.
Well, now there's gone beyond that to the point of where people are like, oh, which version of Night of the Living Dead do you like best? Right. And that makes me fucking insane.
Silly question.
When you get like the which version of Dawn of the Dead do you like best? I'm like, I'm not talking.
Version of Day.
Come on. Yeah, no, shit.
But then I got to get into the conversation with people. Oh, zombies eat brains. No, that is from Return of the Living Dead. Oh, is that the sequel? No, let me explain. So
they can eat whatever and they're really not important to me what they do. It's just the effectiveness of the movie, probably the nostalgic value of the movie, where I saw it and how much it affected me at the time plays a big deal. Night of the Living Dead is always like, I probably won't ever watch that, at least in my own viewing setting. Like we would maybe show it on the Freak Out or whatever, but I won't watch it myself unless it's Halloween. It's gotta be on Halloween.
Same here. Yeah,
that's reserved for that. Have you guys seen the commercial for that movie, The Sadness?
No, I want to.
How about now?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Jimmy likes that scene.
Okay.
我觉得你真的很漂亮。
Good thing they have subtitles. I don't understand that language. A nice place to live.
Yeah.
Except for that guy.
Ow. Great.
Looks kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. You know, it seems like with modern horror movies, it's like you got to go outside the U.S. It's like everybody's got their head screwed on straight outside the U.S. You know?
They know to follow something different where the U.S. is like, let's repeat shit continually. They obviously go to their happy place, and their happy place is killing, so which is ironic compared to the name. So
It's like
I'm interested in seeing it anyway.
The early 2000s, it was like, okay, so here comes another Saw movie that, you know, although in France is coming out all this imaginative stuff, and here's another sequel, here's another Paranormal Activity.
And it's like, was it like last year or maybe the year before they like remade The Grudge again? It was just so weird. It was like another Grudge movie.
Yeah, well, those movies are done to death.
But occasionally we do have some U.S. movies done by people with lots of heart, and they fucking get it. And there nowadays, when I see Elijah Wood's name on something as a producer, you got to take a look. And he's just his heart is in the right place. I like that. I really do.
And he's really surprising. Who would have thought? You know, he's involved with all this really cool stuff.
You know, he's into some cool stuff. I saw that they were doing like they're trying to get enough people to sign off for him to be involved in remaking one of the Tim Ritter movies, Truth or Dare, because he went on Leno or somebody and said, oh yeah, Truth or Dare is one of my favorite movies, which is like a small time South Florida flick with the guy that we interviewed, Tim Ritter.
Oh,
that would be interesting.
Not the Madonna movie, Truth or Dare?
Oh,
yeah, Madonna
out of it.
Oh,
I saw that.
All she said was she woke up and her butt was bleeding.
Oh man,
that's the line I remember.
No, I saw it.
They make you watch that at Stallions.
But I do love both.
It's on the job training.
All right,
Well,
Jimmy.
how did you find the creeping cruds, Bob? You said that's how you found the freak out. How'd you find the cruds?
I'm always on the lookout for like horror themed music, you know, regardless of genre. And the Creeping Cruds were on a playlist on somebody's Spotify playlist. And I don't recall, I don't even recall where I saw it, but I'm like, the name, of course, I just laughed right away. It's a great name. You know, I'm like, this is fantastic. The artwork on the first album, I mean, it just looks great. So yeah, I listened to it and I was a little taken aback because I was expecting, you know, basically it to be like a horror punk band, you know, like a kind of a Misfits clone, which honestly I don't have a problem. But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. It's horror stuff, but it's not a Misfits clone. It actually has a little more in common with like the Super Suck. So after that, I tried to read stuff on the internet. Not a lot of information on the internet, but
well, that's cool. And we specifically weren't trying to sound like the Misfits. That's a trap that every one of those bands falls into. Super Suckers is a good, you know, related band because that's definitely in the similar writing style. Obviously, we don't pretend to be cowboys or anything, but it's in there. I would say Alice Cooper, a little bit of, you know, Dolls stuff, even though it doesn't end up sounding like that. A lot of the inspiration comes from stuff like that. I mean, Jimmy is into a lot of the same shit I'm into, which is definitely more on the Dolls Bowie side of stuff. Whereas Chris is, you know, whatever stuff he's into, he'll tell you later on in the episode. And Bo is huge Cheap Trick and Robin Trower and all that stuff, which is stuff I like as well. But the horror stuff probably comes mostly from me because that just was what we were going to do in the beginning. I steer that ship, but it's cool that you found it. That's for sure. I mean,
Bob, have you heard Gino's solo album?
Oh yeah, I was listening to it today. Actually, I actually have 2 CDs, 2 copies. Yes, I really like it. First popped up as some sort of recommended Spotify, and honestly, I'm like, well, who's this? I didn't make the connection. You know, that, it's the guy from this group, you know. So and then of course the sound too was kind of right up my alley.
Yeah.
Surf music. And I don't know if you were going for surf music, but it sounded like a 60s horror type sound.
Well, actually that was most of that stuff was I was getting a lot of requests to do score stuff. Kind of naturally went towards that, you know, I don't want to say rockabilly, but or surf because it's not really there, but in that vein, you know, the sounds of that, but in a more of just like a rock and roll thing with a little bit of shuffle. You know, you could steer it any one of those ways. But the idea was to create some songs that people could use for, you know, movies and stuff. Cameron was one of the ones that asked for stuff. He didn't end up really using that he used one of the tracks for something, but I made that available for a couple different people. Never ended up in anything. Mostly the crud stuff has ended up in
Peter North.
Yeah, it's Hooker with a chainsaw. Well, it's a guy that keeps using our music. He never gives us credit.
Right, legally using it.
I know the feeling.
His name is Fuck You, Talk to My Attorney.
Maybe it's Hooker with a hacksaw.
Big difference.
Not quite as effective, but yes.
Yeah, lots of
The solo one was actually meant wanted to be used as scoring like movies.
Yeah, Donald Farmer.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, Donald Farmer. And surprisingly, Linnea Quigley is in that movie. I just saw that. I could never make it through that movie. Not enough to even see her in it.
I got Gino's solo album like around September of last year. Now it will always now be my when October rolls around. That's throw into the car. It's just it's gonna ring in the season. It always will now. Nosferatu is one of my favorite songs. It's always in my head. It's just it's great.
Nosferatu was the one that what's his name said it was put together so poorly he needed to fix it for me.
So let me ask you this: would you do another solo album? Just stop your kicking around, or
if we ever get the opportunity to play music, my first thing is to do the crud stuff and do some records there.
Okay.
My hearing is so fucking bad and so fried right now. I don't know that I have the ability to fit in both those things because I need time off after being around loud shit. The crud stuff was a priority. If I ever got to a point to where, we finished that up and then there was some space, maybe I would do that.
How about Jimmy? How about a solo album from you, like cooking music or?
I've written like 500 extremely terrible songs in my life, and then no one ever needs to hear them. They're awful.
So Jimmy, okay, so I'm hearing 10 million different projects about Star Wars. What are your thoughts?
Whoever thought we would be like, oh, I wish George Lucas was back.
I'm from the camp. I don't think Disney ruined Star Wars. I don't.
Well, it got super shittier. I mean, it was pretty shitty 15 years ago.
I love The Force Awakens. Attack of the Clones blows. Revenge of the Sith blows. Return of the Jedi is the fucking puppet movie with fucking Ewoks. Well, nothing is ever going to top Empire Strikes Back.
Absolutely right.
Never. The Mandalorian came
like Rogue One. That was good. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
And my kids are of the age where they want to watch these shows on Disney Plus, the streaming shit, most of which is animated.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's rough to get through because I'm hoping there's going to be some nugget of greatness in there. Never is.
Well, I will say this. I haven't seen any of that shit. So I
love Mandalorian, though. I did love that.
Yeah, that was good. Could have been better. It was good.
What did you guys think of the redux of Battlestar Galactica?
I never got to see it.
You guys?
I've seen a few episodes of it, and I didn't mind it. I guess it didn't captivate me enough to continue watching it. Didn't mind it.
What about you, Jimmy?
I've never watched it.
Well, I get what Bob is saying. You could not step into a couple episodes of that. But if you watch it from the first episode to the last episode, it's a very well-made science fiction show. It's got a real story to it. And it starts great and finishes great. Very good deal. You just can't see the first couple episodes and then expect, because it starts a little slow and it's a little confusing and you have no idea where this is going. But, I mean, if you're talking about like toughing your way through bad versions of Star Wars or whatever, this is a good version of some sci-fi that if you can make it through the first season, you'll find your way to the end and appreciate it because it's a really good show.
They need to do Flash Gordon. Buck Rogers.
Oh, Flash
Didn't
Gordon.
they try that at one point?
Do what?
Like in the early 2000s, didn't they actually try
I'm
a
sure.
Flash Gordon show? I don't know. I seem to think
It probably.
They topped that craziness with what's his name, Sam Jones, or
I see that
What year was
Disney.
that one, Vinny? What year did that one come out? 1980.
80.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Love it.
It's like
I
great.
see
used
that
to watch
Disney bought
that.
the rights to the Steve Jones autobiography, and they're doing a series. And that's what's the guy that did 28 Days Later? Danny Boyle. He's behind that. So Danny Boyle, Disney, and Steve Jones are doing a documentary on the Sex Pistols,
Oh, documentary. Okay, I thought you meant it was
like a documentary series, and it's based off of Steve's life. It's not. It ends up there. So I read that book. It's really good. So I think
heart
it'll be
attacks in it.
Lonely Boy. I think is what.
Yeah, we've seen enough of Sid stuff.
Oh man, Sid was such a non-entity. I mean, it was a cool movie, I guess, but as far as their music goes, he was nothing.
Yeah, he didn't have anything to do with it.
And now Glenn Matlock, who was a competent, decent bass player, who ironically
Cool.
for the Faces for a little while, didn't he, Jimmy? Which is fucking weird.
Did he play for Rush?
I don't think so.
Well, yeah.
So what are your jams, Bob? If you had to pick like a couple favorite bands?
That's a rough one.
There you go. Yeah, Jimmy's on.
Because when I was a little kid, 9, I was introduced to the metal genre, and that was through Iron Maiden. And I mean, so I still, I'm 43. I still listen to them. So, and they're always gonna have a high place with me because they got me into, I mean, ironically enough, getting into Iron Maiden got me into all the like 50s music I like, because it made me realize there was more out there than what I was just hearing on the radio which at the time was like Billy Idol and, put me in, coach, stuff like that, which I guess is okay, but so Iron Maiden for sure. And then a lot of like Thin Lizzy. I know you and I have talked about Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, Thin Lizzy rules, man. Love those guys. Love Iron Maiden.
The Ramones, of course. Of course, the Misfits. I can't help it. The Misfits, the Dickies, who I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, like a lot of 50s stuff, like Buddy Holly, Link Ray, Dick Dale, just Roy Orbison, all the Sun Records stuff. That's
I guess the food died. Phil, did Phil die? Phil Everly died yesterday?
Yeah, I saw Phil.
Yes.
I can't say the Everlys were one of my favorites, but I do like a lot of the old 50s stuff. What's wrong with you, man?
Where do I begin? How much time we got left?
Well, Bob has been gracious enough to he'll always send me suggestions of great horror music. He'll instant message me these. I'm like, this is great. I think I have that, or I'll have to get that. So he's thinking,
he's really trying to promote all that music that he made for those movies.
Well, I'm hoping I'm not swamping you because you tell me.
No, you've got a great ear for music, man. I love it. I do. I'm such a sponge when it comes to that stuff. Give me more. Love it.
So Vinny wants to know all these things, so then later on he can tell you that, hey, I discovered that.
No, I mean no, because that's how Gino is too. It's like all these bands he's turned on us on to. It's great stuff.
I don't even find that I'm that resourceful. Just shit that I came across, whatever. Nowadays, I can't even think of 5 bands that I have discovered that everybody else doesn't know in the last 15 years. You know what I mean?
Well, there was that one like a month ago, the Forbidden Dimension.
Oh, well, those guys are friends. I mean, that goes back a long time. So.
I like that. That was really good.
Tom, those guys are fantastic. I mean, you have a few in the horror band vein that are like, oh, they're real gems. Some people might not know about. They're one of them. They're like the anti-Misfits horror band, I think. And Tom is such a fucking talented motherfucker, songwriter, can play anything. He's a fantastic artist. I mean, everything he touches turns to gold, and he's a super cool guy. I would say anybody out there that's watching wants to catch up with somebody that does a lot of cool shit. Find Tommy Bagley on Facebook or whatever, or on Instagram, and follow him. And he's constantly pushing out great music, great art, cool shit. Can't say enough about those guys. The whole band is awesome.
Well, that's what's so good about you guys too. I mean, you guys complement each other. Both bands. And people come to me nowadays and are like, well, rock music sucks now. It's all the same. I'm like, well, I think you should give horror rock a chance. Oh, you're just saying that, Vinny, because you love horror movies. I'm like, really good written. Let me give you some good bands, and if that's what you're looking for, really good written stuff. Everybody wants to sound like Nickelback or all these bands sound the same. It's like, come on.
It's a hard time for rock and roll.
Good.
It is, and there's a lot of great stuff out there. It's just it's hiding out in the old. Essentially, there's a lot of it out there. A lot of people doing it, but a lot of people don't seem to want to do the work and look, even though it's not that hard to do.
Well, there's so much available. It's hard to dig in. Back in the day when you would have had, you went to the record store or whatever, you had your one allotment of one record to buy. So you would take that fucking record home and listen to it. It wasn't like you had everything that was ever made at your fingertips in like a 3-second attention span. We're like, oh, I don't know if I want to move next. You miss everything that you might end up loving, or you would have ended up loving if you had bought that record.
That's what's the hardest thing about the DJ career. I open up the email and there's 300 songs every day I got to listen. It's so hard. And
if you got too much shit, it's hard to navigate it.
And nothing has legs anymore because it's hot for a second. Oh, here comes something else. Hot for a second. Here comes something else. And then good artists get pushed out of the way, or we have yet to hear the good stuff, and we probably never will now. Well, yeah, I agree. I love the fact there's a lot of talent out there, but there's too much of it now.
If you need help identifying good dance music, Jimmy can help you with that.
Yeah.
Hey, Vinny, do you regularly play the cha-cha slide? Has that survived?
I try not to, but I do. I fuck with it when I play it. Line dances, done.
You got anything you want to talk about, Bob, or bring up, or make sure people?
I guess there's just one what Vinny was mentioning about being scared to death by Children Shouldn't Play with Dead thing. It reminded me of the one movie that actually scared the shit out, which ironically is not a horror movie. when I was in kindergarten, 6 years old. It was the movie Red Dawn.
Oh yeah.
Like the opening minutes where the soldiers come in and they just start shooting the teachers and the kids. I mean, actually terrified as a little kid. How do I know that couldn't happen? And I didn't want to go to school the next day, but I didn't want to seem like a wimp and tell my mother why. But I was trying to get out of going to school because I thought that could happen.
Well, you didn't want the Russians, man.
Actually, I think
It just made me think of the movie that scared me.
There's a lot of movies like that. Weird, like post-apocalyptic, like non-horror movies and shit that were like, whoa. And I remember there was one that scared me where these people went on a vacation or something. They were in their SUV and then started coming across like cars on the side of the road. They were just filled with dust. There was no people. Like, where'd the people go? Shit that you would see like late at night, or we were like, holy shit, what's going on? Is this the end of the world? It's actually happening.
Is this really happening?
You find the movie now and you're like, oh, Jesus, movie is so terrible. But
so jaded now. You don't believe anything.
Oh, yeah.
You, Jimmy, what scared the hell out of you?
The Red Dawn definitely scared me. What was the other one? The TV movie with the apocalypse in Kansas.
Day After?
Yes.
Yeah.
That freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, those movies scare me.
My parents made me watch it. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
What movie still scares you? Each one of you guys.
It's weird. It didn't as a kid. But now that I have a kid, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah, I can't watch that anymore.
Wow. Didn't bug me as a kid.
Nope.
Sure does now.
Once you have kids, you're like, nah, I guess I can't watch that again.
Nope.
What about you, Vinny?
Probably not, but I mean, anything, that involves like nuclear war, destroying everything. And I haven't seen forever that movie Miracle Mile, where the guy's looking at the sky and the warheads are just coming. That freaked me out. That kind of stuff scared the shit out of me. Probably because we worked so hard to have what we have, and it can be gone in a flash.
I still get freaked out by The Exorcist too. How many times I see it?
That's a good, scary one. We brought that one up many times. Yeah, I'd have to say that the old lady drop of water scene from Black Sabbath still kind of scares me. It's still effectively creepy as fuck, to the point of where you're like, it brings it back. You know what I mean? If you don't fall into this as a little bit cheesy and realize you're looking at like some mask or whatever, because when you're a kid, you didn't see it was a mask. It was like some fucking evil old lady floating across the fucking room. I'm like, okay, I'm out of here.
It's gold. It is.
All right, so let's swing over and do this. Are you ready to do the quiz, Bob?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Or do you want to opt out?
Oh, well, I'll give it a shot.
You always edit it to make people look good. Don't worry.
Good.
No, I think Bob will do good. I mean, there's a lot about movies and a lot about music.
He likes movies and rock and roll. That's the whole quiz.
It's weird when you're coming up with the questions. You're like, you want to land somewhere in between, like so easy, everybody could get it, to, so hard it's a waste of time to even try.
And when I've watched them in the past, it's been kind of 50-50. I know some of them, other ones.
Even if you recognize the song, you may not know the next line or even the band, or you're like, oh, I know that one. What is that? As always with the quiz, you got 2 lifelines here. You can reach out to Jimmy or Vinny. Try to not let them trick you into thinking they know it if they don't know it. But we also don't want to give away straight up that you don't know it. There's got to be some kind of like curtain 1, curtain 2 thing here going on. You remember how this works? I'll read a couple lines from a song. You tell me the following line and the name of the band and the name of the song. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you guys ready to help him?
No.
We can call up some ringers if we have to. All right, first one is sent to spy on a Cuban talent show. First stop, Havana, a go-go. I used to make a living, man, picking the banana.
Now I'm a spy for the CIA. It's the Ramones.
It is the Ramones, but that is not the next line. You got lifelines here. Somebody might know that. If you don't know, I'll say it one more time. Sent to spy on a Cuban talent show. First stop, Havana, a go-go. I used to make a living, man, picking the banana.
Yeah, how about Jimmy?
I know it's Havana Affair. And I know it's fucking Ramones, but what is the line? I don't remember the line.
Now listen to Santana.
Yeah, it's not Santana. Well, you got the song and you got the band. That's close enough. The line was "Hooray for Havana."
Hooray for Havana. It's hard to tell with Joey's marble mouth.
Yeah, no, that's a weird set of lyrics.
Lady, I am not from Havana.
Are we calling that one? Are we going to give that one to him?
Yeah, he got that one. 1 for 1. And if you get close, it doesn't have to be exact. We own these rules.
That's right.
So, and we decide. tried. The next one, it's a Living Cruddy Greatest Hits, I think. Basically, I'm certain we've done this one before, but it's such a fun lyric. We'll do it again. Jimmy may remember it, but Jimmy's in mix. He can tell you if he remembers. The line is, I was a good time. Yeah, I got pretty good. Changing tires upstairs, bro. What's the next line? Name of the band, name of the song.
I'm drawing a blank on that for sure.
Early 80s chick singer.
No, I'm going to have to go with Vinny this time.
Vinny knows it.
What's the line again?
I was a good time. Yeah, I got pretty good. Changing tires upstairs, bro.
Joan Jett.
Close, but that's not it. Do you know Jimmy? Runaways? No. I would have given it Joan Jett then if that was the case. No last minute guesses.
Blondie? No. Who is it?
Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, 1980. She was -3.
She was a sperm.
No, it was The Pretenders. The song was Tattooed Love Boys, and the lyric was, I was a good time. Yeah, got pretty good. Changing tires upstairs, bro. I shot my mouth off and you showed me what that hole was for. You know the song?
I don't think we've done that one.
I've heard that song. Yeah,
it's a great tune. It's the best song on their first record. All right, so we're 1 for 1, and we had a weird one that threw everybody off. And I can't believe you guys don't know Tattooed Love Boys. All right, so now we have what I think is a hilarious, great lyric, and I'm hoping you guys can guess this. At least you could team up to guess this. And if you don't, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go back to rock and roll school after this one. The lyric is, 4 young Chiquitas in Omaha waiting for the band to return from the show. Feeling good, feeling right. It's Saturday night. The hotel detective, he was out of sight. Now, these fine ladies, they had a plan. They was out to meet the boys in the band. They said, come on, dudes, let's get it on. Next line, name of the band, name of the song.
I guess so it's tickling something, but man, I don't know.
I think one of your lifelines is busting at the seams to answer this.
Have to be Vinny again then.
It's Grand Funk Railroad. They're an American band.
What's the line?
I think they proceeded to burn that hotel down.
Yes, they did. We proceeded to tear that hotel down was the next line because we're an American band.
They do cowbell.
All right, so you picked one up.
Be reschooled.
Going back to rock school. All right, then. So we are on now to the movie quote section. I think you're going to tear through this. The first quote is, and all you have to do is tell me who said it and name of the movie. The quote is, I understand I'm not your type. Too many tattoos. Thing is, there isn't much to do in prison except desecrate your flesh. Who says that?
Yeah, that is Max Cady, Cape Fear.
That's correct. 1 for 1 in the movie section. All right. The next one, we're being punished by the creator. He visited a curse on us so that man could look at it and say what hell was like.
John and Day of the Dead.
That's correct.
Wow. Nailed
2
it.
for 2. All right, so I have 2 left. We'll do one of these. Do you want the pretty easy one or do you want the difficult one? And if you get the difficult one, we'll call it 6 of 6.
Yeah, we'll give you extra prize.
Oh boy. All right. I'm going to have to go all in.
You're going with the difficult one. All right,
Yeah.
you guys need to keep your ears on too because he may need you. This is the difficult one. Lord, you sure knew what you were doing when you brung me to this cell at this very time. A man with $10,000 hid somewhere in a winter in the making.
That would be Night of the Hunter.
It absolutely is.
And I mean, I don't remember the character's name, but it's Robert Mitchum.
Yeah, Robert Mitchum. That works. All right, so you win that one back.
Wow.
And since you got that one, let's go ahead and do the easy one. Then you could totally own the evening. The quote for the last one is, someday a rain will come and wipe this scum off the streets.
Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle.
Yeah, all right. So let's erase that one that we got wrong. We'll just take it right off the mix. And 6 for 6. So 6 for 6. Now we have to go on to Nad libs. And there are a lot of words that I need here. This happens every time. We'll try to blow through this part real quick and then we'll send it off to Jimmy to read, right? All right. I need an adjective.
Adjective. Creamy.
Already good. Another adjective. Another adjective.
Okay. Hairy.
I need a dark adjective.
Creepy.
Creepy. A noun.
Turd.
Turd? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Turd is a good one. Nobody ever uses
Creamy turd.
A number. Any number.
12.
I need an adjective.
Oil slick.
Oh, slick.
Oh, slick.
Okay, yeah, okay. That sounded like you said click. Right. I need a noun.
Microwave.
Adjective that is a size of some sort.
Tiny.
Tiny, you say?
Yep.
An adjective? It's going to be a lot of adjectives. Soft.
Yep.
A noun.
Corn.
Corn. A place.
Detroit.
Detroit? Oh, of course, Detroit. A martial art.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jujitsu.
Kung Fu.
A type of flower.
Lilies.
A type of poison.
Arsenic.
Vaginal discharge.
A terrible movie.
Dude, where's my car?
That's a terrible movie. A plural noun.
Hands.
Hands. Okay. Yeah, there's some weird audio going there.
Weird.
A sexy verb.
Crawl.
You say crawl?
Yeah.
Sexy enough. An article of clothing.
A tie.
A number.
6.
6. A slang word for money.
Dough.
Dough. Dough. A musical instrument.
Harmonica.
A weird musical instrument.
Didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
I'm just going to spell that the way it sounds, Jimmy.
Oh, great.
A freak out member.
Sizzler.
Another freak out member.
Bow. Odin's.
A type of singing.
Yodeling.
A type of music.
No reading ahead.
Reggae.
An article of clothing.
Socks. Or socks.
A number.
21.
A lot of numbers in here.
An adjective.
Big.
A musical instrument.
Trombone.
Bone phone.
Boner.
A body part.
Ear.
A letter.
L.
L.
Take the L, Gene.
L. An Italian first name.
Lucio.
A German first name.
Klaus.
Klaus.
Adolf. No.
A stupid first name.
Bob.
Bob. You said that, not us. A freak out member. Another freak out member.
This time, Paul.
Pay him back. Pay back Paul. A state in the United States.
Texas.
Tejas.
Another state.
State of confusion.
Louisiana.
And finally, a third state.
Florida.
Bird.
A number.
11.
A type of car, plural.
Pacers.
Adjective.
Squishy.
Squishy.
Yeah.
A man's name.
Kevin.
A number.
30.
You're running a number.
Yeah, we used all the numbers. An animal.
Squid.
A what? Squid.
Yeah.
A noun.
I said hammer.
Oh, hammer. And finally, last but not least, a wet adjective of some sort.
Soaking.
I'm going to copy this and send it off to Jimmy Jam.
I got my reading glasses on.
Jimmy's like, there's a lot of words I got to read here.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Just got to put a lot of work into it to make sure it's a good story for the kids.
I don't have
All right, Jimmy, it's on its way.
I don't have it. Where is it? Did you send it?
You know how to do email?
What's an email?
Don't know how to do emails?
I don't know what that is.
It's that thing that you get in your mailbox.
Is this microphone working?
It's a little low.
Should I get closer?
That sounds good.
Bob saves Hollywood. Get ready, Bob. Buckle up.
All right.
It was a cold, creamy winter in Slofton, Wisconsin, a hairy burb not too far from the creepy shores of Lake Turd, a tributary of Michigan. The snows rolled in and settled in place for many months. It is within one of these massive snow drifts that Bob was trapped for the winter, buried under 12 feet of snow. It was during this time when Bob received a call from Hollywood. The Slick Microwave Film Studios urgently needed a score for their tiniest film of the year, and they had heard through the internet that Bob was the guy for the job. Their latest film, The Soft Corn of Detroit, had just wrapped. The leading man, Jiu-Jitsu Jones, had a financial stake in the film and knew that it would perform well if the score was perfect. He and his leading lady, Lily Arsenic, were hedging their careers on this feature, and both had agreed that Bob was the only man for the job. Bob's work on Dude, Where's My Car? And the adult film Sex Hands 7 garnished him a reputation within the industry. Bob's music was known for its effect on the ladies. Once they heard his music, they would crawl and slip right out of their ties. The studio immediately offered Bob $6 to work up the score. Bob pondered the type of music he wanted to make for the film. He would want an entire harmonica orchestra, featuring a didgeridoo solo, vocal chants by the Sizzler, beatboxing by Bo Dinsky, and sexy yodeling by Jimmy's mom, who should not be yodeling.
Not with COVID.
Bob spent weeks at his frozen igloo studio working up tracks. His cantata was nearly perfect and only needed one final reggae refrain to finish his masterpiece. But Bob's creativity was exhausted. He had worked too hard. He was too tired. He could not create another iota of music. Bob crawled across the floor, drained of all creativity, drained of all motivation. And this is when it dawned on Bob that in the pocket of his sock, he had one last 21-hour energy. Bob slammed the energy drink and felt a wave of big music wash over his body. Bob stripped out of his clothes and picked up a child's trombone and began slamming the keys with his ear in the key of L. His masterwork was finished. Stand aside, Morricone. Bob is the new sheriff in town. Bob would have delivered his masters to the studio in person for fear that they might be lost or stolen in transit. Bob had many musical enemies, such as Lucio Morricone, Klaus Zimmer, and Bob Elfman. So he hired his favorite Uber driver, Paul, to drive Bob and the masters across the country to Hollywood. Bob and Paul drove and drove. They drove across Texas and the winding mountains of Louisiana and the never-ending highways of Florida and finally reached Hollywood. The music was delivered, and just in the nick of time. Jiu-Jitsu Jones was ecstatic and went out and bought 11 new AMC Pacers. Soft Corn of Detroit won all the awards, including the coveted Squishy Kevin Best Picture of the Year award, which now sits atop Bob's trophy case in his man cave next to his 30th place cornhole trophy, his good job participation trophy for the Squid Scout, his world's greatest hammer coffee cup. Bob had indeed saved Hollywood. Later that month, Hollywood slipped into the soaking Pacific Ocean. Thank God Bob lives in Wisconsin.
Very good.
There it is. There's your story. You can tell all your friends that story now.
My God.
Wow, it's epic.
Is that too many words? Should I do half stories now?
There was actually just too many words, and those were Jimmy's mom.
Well, you might be down for some sexy yodeling.
That's an oxymoron. That's not even a thing.
Well, if Jimmy's mom's involved, it
makes everything sexy.
We have to ask, are we going to have a Jimmy's Cruddy Cuisine this week?
So between now and the time that we air this, I will have traveled to Boston. So my intent is to do a food tour of Boston.
Do we have a Vinny's Monster Minute this week?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes.
Okay.
Go to the clip.
All right, let's go to the clip.
Well, good evening, Film Freakout fans. Now here's something from my recommendation files. Most of you have already stated that you really dig the anthology horror films. So do I. Well, brand new from Severn Films comes this. It's a full-length documentary all about anthology horror films, and it's brand new. And man, they leave no stone unturned, from everything from the silent era to today, with tons of interviews from horror bigwigs professing their love for the anthology horror films. It's a definite must-watch. It's a definite must-buy, especially if you love films like this, or films like this, or films like this. Oh, how is this one getting here? Jeez, God. Okay, how about this? Or this one, yeah. I swear to God, that's not my movie.
What about Chris's new segment? Are we having one of those?
I don't know. Are we?
I think so.
Yes!
I think we should go to the clip.
Let's go to the clip.
Hi there, everybody. This week's earworm is the song Dope Smoker by the band Sleep. An hour and 4 minutes of delicious, delicious Southern California desert stoner rock. I'll post a link in the comments. Cheers.
What about Bo? Is he out of the picture? Is he not doing anything anymore?
I didn't have a chance to pitch the new idea to him, so let me do that first.
Any parting words, Bob? Anything you want the people to know? Anything the kids must know?
No, nothing anybody must know. I mean, I'm very happy that you asked me. This has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Hopefully sometime in the future there could be a part 2.
Absolutely. No, it was a good interview. We got to talk about some fun stuff. Why don't you take it out? I'm sure. Somebody snuck into the background.
Oh boy.
Is that Bob Jr.?
Yeah, that's my son, Mason.
Hey, dude.
All right, weirdos, thanks for joining us once again on LIVIN CRUDDY. I want to thank, as always, Grandmaster Gino Roy, our friend Vinny, the Italian guy from somewhere in, I don't even know where the hell he is, and our guest this week, the #1 Wisconsin fan of all time, Mr. Bob McCredie.
So there's 20 joys around her heart's black and blue, the two love boys. I tore my knees up getting to you cause I needed to find out what the thing was for, then read it. And then the time came to explore. I went A-fire cause I thought like I liked it. Little tease, but I didn't mean it. But you mess with the good stall, you gotta pay. Yeah. A good time is guaranteed for one and all. The tattoos, target practice in the hall while waiting for their number to get called out. I found out what the wait was about. I was a good time, yeah, I got pretty good. Changing tires, upstairs, bro. I shot my mouth off and you showed me what that hole's for. Now. Now I see you, all impressed and half undressed. You got pants stick all over the scars, lumps and bumps. You love boy, have got you where I used to lay. Well, too bad that you don't know what they say. Stop sniffling, you're gonna make some plastic surgeon a rich man.